Dudley Moore, the beloved comedian, actor, and musician, rose to international fame with his roles in films like Arthur and 10. Despite his larger-than-life public persona, Moore's personal life was often turbulent. When he passed away in 2002, his funeral became the center of controversy as his fourth wife, Nicole Rothschild, was not allowed to attend. Today, we're taking a closer look into Moore's life, his relationships, and the events that led to his surprising final chapter. Early life and career beginnings.
Acting's no problem. You don't have to exercise anything. Trouble with playing an instrument, you still have to go all day long, As a matter of fact, I wanted to be a violinist. I studied the violin.
Did you? I didn't know that.
And probably most of all in the world, at that stage, I wanted to be a concert violinist.
Dudley Stewart John Moore was born April 19, 1935, in Dagenham, Essex. From an early age, he displayed a remarkable aptitude for music, particularly the piano, and by the time he was 6, he was earning accolades for his performances. His passion for music eventually led him to the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, where he trained as a classical pianist. But it was his time at Oxford University, where he studied music and took part in various comedic revues that shaped the course of his future. It was here that he crossed paths with the likes of Peter Cook, Jonathan Miller, and Alan Bennett, forming the legendary group that launched the groundbreaking comedy show Beyond the Fringe. The success of Beyond the Fringe in the early 60s was instrumental in establishing Moore's comedic talents. The show's satirical edge and irreverent humor resonated with audiences, and Moore's versatility as both a pianist and comedian earned him wide acclaim. Reflecting on his experience, Moore once remarked, "It was so exciting to be a part of something that completely reshaped British comedy. We weren't just making people laugh, we were changing the way people thought about comedy." In addition to his success on stage, Moore became known for his ability to seamlessly blend comedy with music. His performances often involved him seated at the piano, delivering witty, self-deprecating lines that made audiences adore him. Though he was physically small, standing at just over 5 feet tall, Moore's personality was anything but diminutive. His charm, coupled with musical and comedic skills, quickly made him a favorite in Britain's entertainment circles. Breakthrough in Hollywood. By the 1970s, Dudley Moore had firmly established himself as a major figure in British comedy, but it was his move to Hollywood that truly propelled him into international stardom. His first major breakthrough came in the 1979 film 10, in which Moore starred alongside Bo Derek. The film, a romantic comedy about a man going through a midlife crisis, was a massive success and turned Moore into a household name. His portrayal of George Weber, a man infatuated with the idea of the perfect woman, showcased Moore's impeccable comedic timing and vulnerability, qualities that endeared him to both critics and audiences. Following the success of 10, Moore's career reached new heights with his iconic role in Arthur. Playing the lovable, perpetually inebriated millionaire Arthur Bach, Moore brought warmth and humor to a character that easily could have been seen as shallow or unlikable. His performance in Arthur earned him a Golden Globe Award and a nomination for an Academy Award. Reflecting on the role, Moore once said, quote, "Arthur was such a joy to play because, despite his flaws, he had such a big heart. I think people loved him because deep down, he was trying to figure out how to be happy, something we can all relate to." In Arthur, Moore's comedic brilliance shined through, but the film also hinted at the sadness that underpinned his humor. As his fame grew, Moore often found himself grappling with the pressures of stardom and his own personal demons. He continued to deliver memorable performances throughout the 80s, with films like Mickey and Maude and Crazy People, cementing his place as one of Hollywood's most beloved comedians. Despite his success, he frequently downplayed his talent, once remarking, quote, "I have a lot of weaknesses and I'm not afraid to show them. Maybe that's why people like me." Personal life.
You've gone mainly with actresses,
Gone with
or dated or
yes,
so forth.
Fed.
Is it fed, loved, been enraptured with? Is it because they're in the same business that you feel more comfortable with them, or?
Well, I don't know. I must say I think actresses are a terrific lot. They're that sounds terrible. But I think they're interesting, exciting. They're electric. They're alive. They're attractive. And I have to leave now.
Dudley Moore's personal life was complex, marked by multiple marriages, tumultuous relationships, and a search for stability. Over the years, he was married 4 times. His first marriage to actress Susie Kendall in 1968 seemed promising, but their careers pulled them in different directions, with Kendall often abroad for work and Moore focused on his rising fame. The pressures of a long-distance relationship took their toll, and the marriage ended in divorce in 1972. Moore once quipped, "I suppose I was always better at being funny than being a husband." His second marriage, to American actress Tuesday Weld, was more high-profile and equally fraught. The two married in 1975 and had a son, Patrick, in 1976. Although Moore was ecstatic about becoming a father, his relationship with Weld was far from smooth. Both had their struggles, Weld with her emotional fragility and Moore with his growing dependence on alcohol. Their marriage ended in 1980, with Moore admitting the pressures of fame and personal issues made it difficult to sustain a stable relationship. Moore's third marriage, to model Brogan Lane in 1988, brought him some temporary stability, but it was short-lived. The couple's whirlwind romance, filled with glamorous events and public appearances, seemed ideal on the surface. But once again, Moore's personal demons interfered, and the marriage ended in 1991. His fourth and final marriage, to Nicole Rothschild in 1994, was the most controversial. The relationship was marred by accusations of abuse and a public, bitter divorce in 1998. Despite the turbulence, Moore remained hopeful about the love throughout his life, even jokingly saying, "I'm a hopeless romantic," emphasis on hopeless. Though Moore's relationships with his wives were rocky, he did have moments of connection, particularly with his son Patrick. But his struggles with alcohol and later health issues strained even those familial bonds. Moore's declining health and death.
His body has, in a sense, betrayed him. The difficulty of having a humorous, quick, witty conversation with someone and being at a loss because you can't process that information as quickly as you've done in the past. Extremely exasperating in those very little ways.
In the 90s, Dudley Moore's life took a dramatic and heartbreaking turn when his health began to deteriorate. Initially, his increasingly slurred speech and physical difficulties were attributed to alcoholism. But in 1999, he was diagnosed with progressive supranuclear palsy, PSP, a rare and incurable neurological disorder that affected his movement, speech, and ultimately his ability to live independently. Despite the diagnosis, he remained determined to maintain some semblance of his career. He appeared in public on occasion, even attending a tribute in his honor in 2001. But the signs of his illness were painfully visible. As the condition worsened, he withdrew from the limelight and spent his final years in the care of friends in New Jersey. His illness had taken a heavy toll on his personal life as well. His strained relationships, particularly with his ex-wives and son, became even more difficult to navigate as he became increasingly dependent on others for basic care. He passed away March 27, 2002, at age 66. His death was a quiet one, far removed from Hollywood glamour. Though Moore had spent his later years in relative isolation, the legacy he left behind was undeniable, a mix of humor, vulnerability, and brilliance. The funeral controversy. Following his death in March of 2002, the details of his funeral became a focal point of public interest, not only because of his fame, but also due to the controversy surrounding his estranged wife, Nicole Rothschild. Despite their marriage having ended years prior, Rothschild's exclusion from Moore's funeral ignited media speculation and public discourse. The couple's relationship had been fraught with difficulties, and by the time of Moore's death, the separation was not just legal, but deeply personal. Allegations of abuse and acrimonious divorce proceedings had left an indelible mark on their marriage, with Moore's inner circle reportedly siding against Rothschild. The exclusion from the funeral was not officially explained, but those close to Moore suggested it reflected his final wishes. Their relationship, marked by public battles and mutual recriminations, had deteriorated to the point where Moore reportedly wanted no further connection with Rothschild by the end of his life. Rothschild, however, had her own version of events. She publicly expressed sadness at being excluded from the funeral, saying that despite their troubled past, she still cared deeply for Moore and wanted to say her final goodbyes. She said, quote, "I just wanted to be there, to pay my respects to a man I once loved. It feels cruel to be shut out like this." Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite memory of Dudley Moore? Let us know in the comments section below.